Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have your doubts, not what I'm about, have your fucking cloud, it be raining now. I keep making sound, go another round, bitch I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease.
What is going on, everyone? And in this video I'll be giving you my UFC London main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday. To previously go over the last event, went 6-6, so not the best, half and half, 50% basically. For this one, unfortunate what happened in the main event. Brian Ortega losing the fight against Yair Rodriguez, and then Rodriguez was able to get that KO TKO, but really not really, you know, his arm or whatever. I like to see it get ran back, even if what Rodriguez did caused the arm. I would still like to watch this fight again and see an actual like a 5-round decision or something, just so we can get more of an understanding. For Amanda Lemos getting her submission win, that was pretty good against Michelle Watterson. Li Jingliang defeating Muslim Solikov, that was crazy, knocking him out like that. Sumadarji and Matt Schnell is probably fight of the night. Obviously, having Matt Schnell come back and winning that fight via submission, that was insane as well. And then Shane Burgos taking on Charles Jourdain. Burgos, majority decision, so it was a close fight. Really good fight, though. Like, really liked it. And, you know, Shane Burgos is a tough bastard, and even Jourdain is really tough, but Shane Burgos got the decision. And Miesha Tate taking on Lauren Murphy, losing against Lauren Murphy. Miesha Tate is just not where she needs to be right now, and you can't be losing to Lauren Murphy like that, because you're just not going to be able to be in that top when you're losing against people that are like considered the gatekeepers or whatever. But either way, let's jump into the next card, UFC London. Really looking forward to it. Let's talk about it. In the first fight on the main card, we have Paul Bearju Craig, and he'll be taking on Volkan No Time Oezdemir. 16-4-1 for Paul Craig, and then 17-6 for Volkan Oezdemir. For Paul Craig, he's coming into this fight with a, you know, he's pretty solid win against, who is it against? Paul Craig. Paul Craig is coming to win over Nikita Krylov via submission, and I think it was more of just Nikita Krylov making a mistake and then ending up in the grappling realm with Paul Craig, and then he got submitted because Krylov, you know, 19 significant strikes to Paul Craig's 2 shots, right? So I think a lot of guys are going to outstrike Paul Craig, like if they actually fight. It's just that he just finds these ways to get that submission. Against Jamal Hill, we saw that Paul Craig getting the KO TKO punches in round number 1, which I think was more so of like him just breaking his arm off basically, but they ruled it as like the via punches or whatnot. He defeated Mauricio Shogun Hua via KO TKO in round number 2. I will say this though, against someone like Shogun, you really got to be taking him out either way. Against Antigolov, he lost via, he defeated him via submission triangle choke in round number 1. So he's very dangerous with the submission. And then before that, he lost to Shogun Hua via a split decision, which, you know, I don't know if he lost that fight too bad. And then, you know, he got knocked out by Alonzo Menningfield, KO TKO. Jimmy Crute, he lost via submission. These are all like a little bit back. Khalil Roundtree in the beginning, he got knocked out by him. And then against Tyson Pedro, he got defeated. So he hasn't been finished. He's been on a 4-fight winning streak, but I will say it's against, you know, Shogun Hua. Okay, you know, for me, you got to beat Shogun at this point. You can't be losing him if you want to go anywhere in the division. Antigolov, that's a pretty decent win. Jamal Hill, that's obviously a pretty good win. You really want to be getting those. And then against Nikita Krylov, you know, it's a pretty decent win. But I still think like this is one of those guys where if he's not able to get you down, like what's going to happen, right? Because I think Oezdemir has pretty solid takedown defense. Now, granted, Oezdemir in his last, he's 2-5 in his last 7 fights, so he's also not looking the best. But I will say it's against killers. It's like the absolute best. Oezdemir has fought much better people inside of the UFC than Paul Craig has. So I think if Oezdemir can defend the takedowns without thinking about it too much, I think a lot of people are going to bet Paul Craig just because, well, he's the underdog and that's what he does. So it makes sense. But I think eventually Paul Craig's going to get put down and he's not going to be able to put those submissions up anymore. And this could be the truck that he's about to run into. And so for Oezdemir, because he carries that one-shot KO power, And because he has pretty solid takedown defense, I think as long as he doesn't get sloppy and overextend and really just tries to pick like a really precise shot. It's only got to be one shot. He doesn't have to mix it up crazy. He doesn't have to brawl with him. Just pick one good shot and it'll hurt Paul Craig, and then he's going to be able to take him out. Now, if Oezdemir gets tired and we start dragging this fight out, then I can definitely see Craig taking him down, submitting him, and it's all over. But I'm going to bank on it being early finish for Oezdemir, because that's when I think he can take him out completely. So I'm going to go Volkan, no time Oezdemir to defeat Paul Bear Jew Craig. I'll take him to win by KO TKO in round number 1. Move on into the second fight on the main card, and we have a women's bout between Molly Meatball McCann taking on Hannah 24 Karat Goldy. McMahon's coming in with a 12-4 record, and Goldy's coming in with a 6-2 record. This fight the odds are showing that like McMahon's gonna come in and just kill her and crush her. I don't know if that's gonna be the case, at least not early on. It could be a dragged out fight, it could go to a decision, which I'm kind of more inclined for it to be. I think it's gonna go to a decision. But McMahon, she's not known for finishing people, even though she got a win in her last fight via finish. She's definitely not known for it. But, obviously she defeated Luana Carolina by KO TKO in round number 3 via spinning back elbow. But outside of that, it's not like she finished anyone else inside the UFC. So I think that was more of like a hype thing, because again, she was in the crowd favorite, just like she'll be this time, and that's going to be a big thing for her as well. So I would expect McMahon to be super hyped up, but she's got to watch her emotions, can't be getting careless in there. And maybe she's able to get some takedowns in this one. For Goldy, her striking is not the best. She got the armbar in the last fight, so maybe that's something. Maybe McMahon shouldn't be diving in for takedowns so early on. But I do think for McMahon, at least, she's probably going to win this fight. And again, like I said, I don't know if it's going to be super dominant. Maybe she gets a late finish, but I'm more inclined for McMahon to be able to get maybe some grappling going against the fence even. Land some pretty decent shots and just kind of just stay away from the ground game of Goldy. And if she tries, if Goldy's going for takedowns, then you got to hope that McMahon is able to defend them. But I'm not too worried about Goldy like getting takedowns at will or anything like that. I think if anything, McMahon's striking is going to be a little bit cleaner, even though I don't think either of their striking is like the best striking you've ever seen in your life. Especially Goldy, I didn't like what I saw from her against Emily Whitmire. I didn't really like it, and even against Belbita, I don't know. It didn't look clean. It looked a little bit sloppy, and against a better striker, it's just gonna be a problem. Not that McMahon's out here striking people to death, but I do think she'll probably have a little bit more power. Because Goldy looks like more athletic, but I think she's not like dropping in bombs left and right, and that's a lot to carry around. So I think overall, too, McMahon might have the better cardio. So, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see if she lets the crowd get to her head. We'll have to see if she starts making mistakes because she's trying to go for a finish or something like that, because that's what the crowd's going to want to see. But I'm inclined to take the favorite here. I don't think she's that big of a favorite. I don't think you can pick any women's fight and be that confident in them winning, just because we know it goes to like a split decision or something like that. That's kind of sketch. But I'm going to go Molly Meatball McCann to defeat 24 Karat Hannah Goldy by decision. Move on into the third fight on the main card. We have a pretty interesting bout between Nikita Krylov, the minor, taking on Alexander the Mauler Gustafsson. 27-9 for Krylov, and then 18-7 for Gustafsson. For Krylov, coming into this fight with, again, more of like a gatekeeper, lost to Paul Craig, I would say primarily due to his own mistakes, lost to Magomed Ankalaev via decision, and then he beat Johnny Walker, a pretty decent win against him, lost to Glover Teixeira, split decision, so that was a pretty close fight, and, obviously Glover was champion. Defeated Oven St. Preux via submission. His fought Jan Blachowicz, lost to him via submission. Lost to Misha Serkinov via submission, guillotine choke. And then he had a bunch of wins. But he's kind of been here forever, 2013, right? So he's been around. He's fought guys. He's stayed in the top, lost to the top. But I would say, if anything, he's just at least fighting still. And he's trying to be a little bit, not at least fight once a year. So Walker was 2020, Ankalaev was 2021, and then he lost to Paul Craig in 2022. So at least he's fighting. He's not fighting 3 times a year, but he's trying to get one under his belt. Now we move on into the other guy, which is going to be Alexander Gustafsson, and this is a little bit sketch because he hasn't fought for a while, and he lost against Fabricio Verdum in July 25th of 2020. Obviously, Verdum is not in the UFC anymore, and not like he's fighting top level competition outside of the UFC and doing becoming champion and doing all this stuff. So, losing against Verdum at heavyweight, it's like, okay, chalk it up to like, why are you fighting at heavyweight? And like, okay, he gets submitted by Verdum. It is what it is, whatever, right? He fights Anthony Smith, loses to him via submission in round number 4. Looks like he has a little bit of issue with like getting caught up with submissions against a guy like Krylov. That's not going to be a good thing. And then he gets taken out by John Jones before that in 2018, KO TKO in round number 3. Again, it's John Jones, okay. He defeats Glover Teixeira, who ends up becoming the future champion, by uppercutting him to death and defeating him in the 5th round. So, and then he even beats Jan Blachowicz via unanimous decision. So in theory, he defeats 2 guys that became champion. And yet he's coming off a 3-fight losing streak. So it's like strange, because you think the best, you think the best Gustafsson's gonna be a nasty dude, right? He's gonna fight long. He's gonna have some hard shots. He's gonna also maybe be able to wrestle, defend the takedowns, just great power, good speed, good length, and he might come in here and kill him, right? But we don't know what we're getting from him, and that's the sketchiest part, because we've seen, granted it was in 2020 and 2019, but we've seen in his past 2 fights he gets submitted. It's a little sketch, man. It's a little sketch. It's definitely a little sketchy. But then at the same time, I'm like, is he gonna look drastically different? Like, is he gonna come in here and put Krylov away and make it look like, bitch, I'm back? And he could, right? He could definitely come back and crush Krylov. I think the best Gustafsson would crush Krylov, defend the takedowns, and just light him up and kill him. But I just don't think Krylov is going to be able to, I don't think Krylov's going to strike with him too long. I think Krylov's going to initiate that grappling and see what he can do, and that's when we have the problems. So I can't take Gustafsson because I just don't know what we're getting. I really don't. I mean, I don't know if this guy's just coming back to get a little paycheck before he bounces out, or if he's coming in, even if he's been training good. But, Krylov's been fighting like some pretty decent guys. So best case scenario for Gustafsson is he comes in, crushes him, and then he's right back in there, right? But I just don't think that's gonna happen. And then for Krylov, it's like, okay, I'm a gatekeeper, right? If he wins, so I think Krylov's gonna take advantage of Gustafsson being a little bit rusty, being in the ring with all, back in the ring with the crowd, all the stuff. Gustafsson's probably gonna have to get hit a little bit to wake up, and yeah, I mean, Krylov, I just think is gonna fight smart and try to take him down and then submit him. I think that's about it, right? And we get to see at what level Gustafsson's at. And I would be very shocked though if Gustafsson comes out and absolutely dominates. Like, maybe he wins a split decision or something like that. But I would be kind of surprised if he comes out here and just crushes Krylov. I think that'd be a little surprising. So either way though, I'm gonna go Nikita Krylov. I'll take him to defeat Alexander Gustafsson. I'll take him to win by submission in round number 2. Move on into the 4th fight on the main card, and we have Paddy the Batty Pimblett taking on Jordan the Monkey King Leavitt. 18-3 for Pimblett, 10-1 for Leavitt. For this one, Pimblett, this could be one hell of a boring fight. I don't know. I just think it's going to be one of these where it's kind of a stalemate, and you've got one guy afraid to go in and the other guy's afraid to go in. And Jordan Leavitt, Jordan versus Paddy, yeah. For Jordan, like, he's gonna try to grapple, right? But it's almost one of those kind of grapplings where it's definitely not the most exciting thing. A lot of kicks to his game as well, and he's probably going to use that to keep Pimblett at bay. And then Pimblett's striking can get a little bit sketchy too. It's, you know, he's running over there with his chin up high and gets dropped or something. So that's what makes me think like this fight actually might be super boring, even if Pimblett's, you know, trying to finish him or whatever. I just feel like you have Jordan trying to keep him at bay with the kicks, and then Pimblett's going to be, you know, obviously a little bit hesitant to just rush in on him and get kicked in the head or something like that. So, and then maybe the grappling is there, but Pimblett has to be careful taking him down, because like what if he takes Jordan down and then next thing he's getting submitted or anything like that. So it's, I just feel like it's going to be this awkward kind of slow paced, low volume fight, unless Pimblett gets like pressured by the crowd basically to do something. Then we might see him get caught, just because, and that's what worries me too, is I think Pimblett could beat him, but if he gets a little bit too crazy, he might get caught and then get dropped, and then it's all over. So we'll have to really see what happens with that. But I think overall, like, Pimblett should win. I'm just not thinking this is going to be the most exciting fight. I really do think that this could be a stalemate and both guys a little bit hesitant. And even if Pimblett runs in there and tries to make it exciting, I still am not sure, you know, I'm not sure whether or not Jordan's going to allow him to make it exciting. Like, I still feel like it's going to be one of those things where it's like, are you going to rush in on me? I'm going to kick you. And then both guys maybe not want to grapple because, you know, you don't want to get submitted by either one. So yeah, I'm not expecting a pretty, you know, the most entertaining fight in the world, but I do think Pimblett is going to be able to find his way to getting a decision. So I'm going to go Paddy Pimblett. As long as he keeps the volume up, gets in his face, tries to outstrike him. Maybe he's not diving in for takedowns, trying to get that finish, but I think he can light him up on the feet, close that distance, not allow Jordan to kick him, and then we see it go. So I'm going to go Paddy Pimblett to defeat Jordan Leavitt. I'll take him to win by decision. And then we move on into the co-main event of the evening. We have Jack Hermansson, the Joker, taking on Chris Action Man Curtis. 22-7 for Hermansson, 29-8 for Curtis. Jack Hermansson, like, he's not, I forget who he was supposed to fight. He wasn't supposed to take on Chris Curtis, but Chris Curtis is not a guy I think you want to be fighting short notice. For Hermansson, he will definitely be the grappler in this fight, but I don't think he's taking Chris Curtis down. He might try to get him. He might get him one time or something, but Curtis defended 20 takedowns against Vieira in their last fight, and Vieira is known for going for the grappling, and he's known for being pretty decent, I would say, as far as that's concerned. So to see Curtis defend the takedowns, not get taken down, and do it 20 times, and still have power, still have a pretty decent pace, not be absolutely gassed out by the end of all that, I would say that's pretty decent. For Hermansson, though, you know, Hermansson, he lost to Sean Strickland, which was just, I don't know, like, he was just not as fast as Sean Strickland, so Strickland was just piecing him up. Not that he was like necessarily doing the crazy amount of damage, like Strickland needed to finish him too, but Hermansson just wasn't keeping up with the volume and the speed. Against Edmund Shabazian, he was actually kind of getting pieced up by Edmund Shabazian, but then he was able to get those 3 takedowns and eventually drain him out, kill him, and get that unanimous decision. But Shabazian, you know, he wasn't doing bad early on. Against Vettori, he lost against him. Vettori outstruck him. But Hermansson did get 2 takedowns in that fight. Against Gastelum, he was just a bigger fighter in that one, got the heel hook. And that was a pretty fast fight, knowing that Hermansson's the only one that landed any significant strikes. Against Cannonier, he lost via KO TKO. Yeah, this one screams just Chris Curtis doing kind of what he did in his other fights, unless he's able to get a finish. Chris Curtis coming off that win over Rodolfo Vieira, unanimous decision, outstruck him. Against Brendan Allen, KO'd him. Against Phil Hawes, KO'd him. And then against Sean Lally, KO'd him. But yeah, I think Curtis can hang. He's very patient. You know, he's not rushing. He's not brawling with people. He goes to the body a lot, really attacks the body. And, you know, his last fight was pretty decent volume too as well. So big power, attacks the body well. Defended all those takedowns, paces himself, so he's not like gassing out. But he has the confidence to stay in the pocket and try to land some good shots. And he has a solid chin as well. So I really like Chris Curtis. As long as he's not getting taken down and out grappled, I think Chris Curtis, again, he's going to be a little bit faster on the feet, have a little bit more power. And I think he just kind of picks apart Hermansson and defends the takedowns. And then we see, but I don't want to say Hermansson's going to get finished or anything like that. Maybe he does. But I'll go Chris Curtis to defeat Jack Hermansson. I'll take a win by decision. Move on into the main event of the evening, and we have a heavyweight bout, an important heavyweight bout between Curtis Blaydes, who will be taking on 16-3 and 1-0 contest, taking on Tom Aspinall, 12-2. Fast rising Tom Aspinall is coming in this one. 1, 2, 3, 5 wins inside of the UFC, and he's looking to make it 6, and he's looking to make it against a guy who is not the most exciting guy in the world, but he's fought best competition as well. Jake Collier for Aspinall got that first win against him. KO TKO. Alan Badeau, you got to be killing Alan Badeau though. KO TKO against Andrei Arlovsky. This is where it starts to get a little bit better. Getting the submission victory in round number 2, that was very impressive to get not just a KO, but to get that submission victory. Against Sergey Spivak, getting KO TKO via elbow, and then taking out Alexander Volkov, who we recently saw do slightly decent, but getting the straight armbar victory in that one. Now, granted, we were waiting. That's the thing, though. We were waiting to see whether or not Aspinall was going to take him down because he has an advantage. He doesn't use it necessarily all the time, but he definitely has a grappling advantage and a submission advantage against someone like Volkov, even though he has pretty decent stand-up as well. So those pretty good wins. Now for Curtis Blaydes, he's been in here since 2016. First fight inside the UFC, Francis Ngannou got KO TKO'd by him. Lost to Francis Ngannou again. KO TKO in round number 1. And then he fights Justin Willis, Shamil Abdurrahimov, Junior Dos Santos, Alexander Volkov, gets the victory, loses to Derek Lewis, gets put in the shadow realm, comes back, fights Rosenstrike, gets a unanimous decision in one of the most boring fights anyone will ever see. Gets 3 takedowns in that one as well. He fights Chris Daukaus and gets the KO TKO round number 2. A little bit better, but still, in my opinion, not the best, because we saw what happened to Chris Daukaus, right? It's hard to come off a fight like that. And again, Curtis Blaydes, he does have power. It's not to say he doesn't, but it's just like, I don't think it's all dependent for me whether or not Aspinall is going to be able to defend those takedowns. But again, like, I think Aspinall has really good speed, and early on, if he can predict like when Blaydes is going to go in for that takedown, like, I think he might counter him, put him in the shadow realm, go for a submission. Like, I don't think Aspinall is going to get taken down at will. Like, I know Blaydes is strong. I know Blaydes is a wrestler, but I just feel like Aspinall, early on at least, he can do something. He can do something like disrupt the flow of those takedowns, and maybe he even goes for like a triangle choke. Like, who knows, right? He's pretty decent on the floor as well, so I wouldn't necessarily count Aspinall out even if he does get taken down. I think he's gonna be pretty active on his back, and he's gonna try to go for it. He's gonna try to go for something. Curtis Blaydes, he's one of these guys that he seems like a gatekeeper. Like, you got to beat Curtis Blaydes, right? You got to beat him to get out of there. And for me, I really think Aspinall is going to be too fast for him on the feet. Even though Blaydes has really good power, I just think Aspinall is going to light him up with a good combination, get out of the way out of a big shot, and be able to defend a takedown. And then we might see Blaydes. I don't think Blaydes gets a little bit tired, but I do think Aspinall keeps a high pace on him as far as the striking is concerned. But maybe we just see Blaydes take him down over and over again, and it goes nowhere, and it's not the most exciting fight. But I hardly doubt that, man. I think Aspinall, he really wants to get the win. He really wants to climb the ranks. I think he was supposed to fight Gane. That would have been a pretty decent matchup. But, he gets Blaydes instead. And, arguably speaking, Blaydes is a little bit harder just because Gane is going to try to point fight with you and not necessarily go for any risks. So where you have Blaydes, like Blaydes is going to try to load up, man. Like, this dude's trying to crack, and he can also slam you on the floor and then go for the ground and pound there. But I just think Aspinall is going to be a little bit too fast for him. He's going to be having the better combinations, light him up on the feet, and maybe he doesn't defend the takedown right away, but I think he doesn't go down at will or something, and he can possibly reverse it or threaten it with a submission. So interesting to see this fight, see what happens to the heavyweight division. And yeah, let's go ahead with Tom Aspinall to defeat Curtis Blaydes. 5 rounds? No, I don't think it goes 5 rounds. I'll take Tom Aspinall to defeat Curtis Blaydes by KO TKO in round number 1. And so that'll do, guys, for my main card predictions for the upcoming event for UFC London this Saturday. Looking forward to a country card. Get the hype. You know it's going to be crazy over there. Early card as well, at least on the East Coast. So I'm looking forward to that. Always good to see. Leave your comments down below. Tell me who you're picking. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to. And I'll see you guys in the next video.